All right, I got something I wanted to pick up for a long time. It's a 9mm revolver. I haven't had a 9mm revolver before, but I've been really curious for a long time. What kind of ballistic performance can we get out of a 9mm revolver? So what I did is I went and I got a Taurus 905. And I know a lot of people they get on me about Taurus. And what they don't really understand is when I do these ballistic test videos, basically I'm disabled, I have some issues, and the only real income I have to do these ballistic test videos and whatnot is through the YouTube ad revenue program. And basically I'm doing 8 videos a month, and I'm doing that with basically 100% of what I'm making. So when people say, well, you just need to go get an LCR or something, you're stupid for getting a Taurus, they don't realize that if I did that, that would put me down to, like, in that month I could only do like 2 ballistic test videos, when normally in a normal month I do 8. So, you know, I'm limited on what I can afford. So I do get what I can afford and still be able to work in enough ballistic tests. So I did pick up a Taurus, and, you know, I've had 50% luck with Taurus. I had some that were bad, some that were good. But the main reason why I went with the 905 is because I have the 605. I've had that for a long time, and I've essentially had no problems with it. The only issue I ever had with it was the cylinder screw broke, and I couldn't get a part for it without sending it in. So I actually put a Smith & Wesson J-frame screw in that, and it fit exactly. It fits the threads exactly, and that's the only issue I've ever had with this. Perfect gun. It works really well. And the 905 is basically built off of that. It's not built off the 856. And I think the 856 had some issues because it was a little bit different size. So we're going to open this up here. Taurus 905. We have our paperwork, whatnot. And I did change the grip right away. This is the original grip that comes on it. It comes on like the 856, the 85s, the 605s. I don't like that grip at all. What I really like is these, you know, finger groove Hogue grips. I got the same ones on my 856 as the 605. It's what I'm used to, and I really like that. So I picked up a Hogue grip, but one with a little different color. I thought I'd put a little Semper Fi on that so I could tell the difference between my 605 and my 905, because they are almost identical guns, basically built off the same frame here. So it's a 5-shot, 2-inch barrel, 9mm revolver. What's interesting about this, it doesn't even look like it has cuts for moon clips, but it takes moon clips. So in the box it came with 5 moon clips in a little bag here, and it came with the little Taurus lock that goes on the back of the hammer, which nobody ever uses those. So you can shoot this gun with the moon clips, and here's some loaded moon clips here. They're very thin moon clips. They're different than other brands, I believe. And you put them in there and it closes up fine. But there is some misconceptions here about 9mm and semi-auto revolvers. A lot of people think that the headspace on the moon clip, and if you didn't put that moon clip on there, the rounds would just fall through the cylinder, and that's not how they work. You can put your rounds in here. You can shoot them just fine without the moon clip. They stay in the same position. It's just that extractors need a rim to grab onto, and you don't have an exposed rim with semi-auto cartridges. So that's really the purpose for the moon clip. It's just like in a semi-auto pistol. You can't see it from here, but there's basically ledges in it, just the same way that is in a semi-auto pistol. So the rounds will headspace directly on the case mouth the way they do in a semi-auto pistol. The moon clips are only for extraction. So like in a normal revolver that's like for revolver cartridges, what you got going on is you've got a cylinder throat that essentially tapers down kind of like this. You know, it's the size of the case, and then all of a sudden it tapers like this to the size of the bullet. It's kind of gradual, but it's a fast, gradual curve thing going on. As we're in a semi-auto chambered revolver, you have a straight ledge there. So you can fire this without the moon clips just fine, but you can't extract it without poking them out. So that's interesting, but I think for the most part, I'm probably not going to use a lot of moon clips in this when I'm just out in the range or ballistic testing. You definitely want to have the moon clips if you're going to be carrying it for defense, so you can extract out what you got in there and then reload another moon clip in there. But for out in the range, I think it's not really necessary. So I'm going to take my first shots with this thing. You know, I dry fired it a few times. It felt pretty good with the dry fire. Everything feels tight. Everything feels like it moves pretty easily. And I've got a lot of flack sometimes for shooting these guns like this right out of the box. People are like, oh, you're not supposed to do that. But that's really for pistols that have like grease all up in them. Semi-auto pistols are all greased up and whatnot. You got a dry revolver like this, it's fine. So let's take some first shots with this and see how it does for me. All right, so I am about 7 yards from that target. So I got some Blazer brass here. These are our 115 grains Blazer brass. Then I have some 124 grain Blazer brass. So I'll see how these things shoot for me. So first shot's fired, Taurus 905. Let's see what we get. A little bit of a stickiness going on there on that first shot there, probably because it's not oiled, but not too much recoil. It's kind of like shooting a 38 plus P. Keep going. All right, pretty good. So let's see how our ejection is. Pops right out real easy. A little bit easier than revolver cartridges because they're so short. So I'm gonna drop in our 124 grain Blazer brass. See these shoot for me. All right, so they shoot pretty good. The point of impact is just a tad high for me. So we're gonna eject these out. Now I got to thinking, I don't really want to be loading moon clips all the time when I shoot this thing. So what can I do to load this thing a little bit easier? And I thought, you know, let's just take an old spare 9mm magazine I got for a semi-auto pistol. This one's for my Ruger Security 9. I put some tape on the back of that so that my thumb is padded a little bit when I push those. I thought, why don't I just do this? That seems to work. So let's see how it shoots without those moon clips. Shoots fine. Now here's the problem. Getting extraction. Now 2 of them popped out. I got a 3rd one to pop out. Now that's when we have a problem. So that's why I have this little stick here on the back. And then with the same extraction tool, let's just pop it around and reload some 124 grain Blazer brass. There we go. A little bit of fumble on that last round, but seems to work. Let me pick up the pace just a tad here. All right. I'm thinking, yeah, I could probably just do that. I got them all out without needing that tool. Should have one more load going on here. There we go. That seems to work pretty good. That's better than putting them in a moon clip, pulling them out of a moon clip, spending 10 minutes doing that. So let me do Mozambique drill real quick, see how they shoot. I forgot I have 5 rounds and not 6. 2 of them don't want to come out. My muscle memory is to do that, but as long as I have the stick. Made it with an old plastic coat hanger piece, by the way. So let me shoot some steel with this and see how it continues to shoot for me. All right, so I'm about 14 yards from the target at this position here. So what I want to do is I just want to shoot the steel, just see what kind of shootability I can get with these. I have some 115 grain rounds in here, so I'm not going to fire too fast, but I'll fire quick enough that I can hit the target. So here's our 115 grain. Got all but one out. And you can pull them like that. Now, I have some 124 grains here in my makeshift loader. Let me see how these things shoot for me. I think I pulled one over the target. This trigger's a little bit stiff right now because it's brand new, so I did pull one over top of the target. But overall, they shoot the way I want them to shoot, you know. I like to see that, because you get one here, a little right, a little left, a little high, a little low, you know, that means that's me. So the gun itself is solid. So let me back it up a little bit here. Every one of them came out, and see if I can hit from some more distance, which I'm sure I can with this, because it seems to be point of aim, point of impact pretty much. All right, just for giggles, I'm back 75 yards here. I got some 115 grain rounds in here. I got some 124 grains in my pocket. So I'll fire double action, see if I can make any hits, and then I'll try single action. So here's our 115 grain FMJs. Try one single action. All right, so not super easy. It's funny how my muscle member, I push that out, and it's almost like that movement of that extractor has just enough momentum going on to push those out. This makeshift loader is... Please don't steal this and patent it. Somebody probably will. But anyways, let me try 124 grain. I'll do a single action here. So they're shooting pretty high for me. It's funny how that really quick movement will cause those to pop up. They're shooting really high for me, and this was just for fun back here. I'm not really trying to learn anything important, but I do want to learn something very important here. So I'm going to move back up. We're going to go to the chronograph. I want to see what kind of velocity we're getting out of this versus something else. Just to kind of see what we're getting. And I know that, you know, it's not like hollow point ammo or anything like that. It's only a couple ammo varieties, so it's not going to tell us a whole lot with just target ammo, but I want to get kind of a quick overview if there's a difference here in the velocity that we might get out of this versus I'm going to do my Taurus G2C semi-auto. So let's do that. One thing I really wanted to know is, you know, is there a significant velocity loss with 9mm and a revolver? You know, they don't just freebore. The bullets don't just freebore down the chamber. You know, once you get to that cylinder throat, they are back to the size of basically the barrel. So when we look at these two guns, they weigh about the same. They're about the same size, overall size. You actually have a little bit more travel in this. When we're talking this G2C with a 3.2 inch barrel, you're taking away about 1.15, 1.2, whatever a 9mm length is. So you're essentially working with 2 inches, just a little over 2 inches of barrel travel, like 2.1 inches almost. And with this, when you're talking like a 357 Magnum revolver with 357 Magnum ammo that comes to the cylinder face, basically, it's identical. It's like completely identical between 357 Magnum and this with a 2 inch barrel versus this Taurus G2C. But because a 9mm cartridge is so short, you know, the head of that bullet's only right there, we're going to get a little bit more barrel travel. But then again, we're going to get some cylinder gap loss. So I've been curious if we're going to if it's going to be significant or if there'll be any loss at all because we have just that little bit more barrel travel. So Taurus G2C with our Blazer 124 grain. Let's see what kind of velocities this stuff gives me. 1069, 1082, 1076, 1080, 1073. I don't have the exact math going on, but it's something like 1075. So we lose a massive amount in this revolver of velocity. Let's find out. 1042, 1013, 1030, 1002, 1009. So yeah, we are with this ammo losing a good 50 feet per second or more. So it's not super significant, and this is not the end all be all because, you know, the powder burn rates and stuff like this, where it's just you know, target ammo isn't going to tell us everything. Now I want to load up some of this 115 grain of this Blazer and see if those results mirror the results we got with the 124 grain. All right, same test here with our 115 grain Blazers. Let's see what our G2C gives us. 1049, 1051, 1041, 1055, 1036. So it's obvious that they load the Blazer ones lighter, or the 115 grain Blazer lighter than the 124 grain Blazer, because we had even less velocity with our 115 grain. So we're up there, you know, probably 10, 30 feet per second on average or so. Let's see what our Revolver gives us. 1016, 999, 984, 995, 939. So, you know, the last one, I'm not going to count that, but, you know, overall, we're looking at probably 30, 40 feet per second less. So it looks like, you know, if the cartridge is a little bit less powerful, there's a little bit less to lose. But you're losing a little bit, but that's still, like I said, it's not the end all be all, because if we get into plus P hollow points, and especially rounds like 147 grain where the bullet's going to seal that gap a little bit longer, we might not see any velocity loss in this, and it might be faster even than the semi-auto. But you know what I'm seeing is about average though with cylinder gap loss. You know, a good 5% on average. That sounds about right for what we're losing here. So that would mean that that's a pretty average cylinder gap going on here. So very interesting overall. I'm very impressed with this particular firearm here. And again, you know, I buy Taurus because I basically have to if I want to keep doing ballistic tests. You know, once in a while I might get a little extra money, you know, tax season or something, I might buy something a little bit better. But when we're talking a month-to-month basis where I want to get into ballistic testing, please stop complaining that I buy Taurus. I buy it so that I can continue to keep bringing content rather than stop with the content and only put out 2 ballistic test videos a month. So very impressed with this. This seems every bit as good as that 605. That's what I was hoping for. I was thinking it's built off the 605, and I haven't had no issues with that. I shouldn't have any issues with this, and I don't think I have any. It seems really good. I've tested a lockup. Everything seems really tight and perfect with this. Timing seems really good. It seems perfect. Now with the 856, I think some of the issues that were going on with that is, I don't know this for a fact, but I think what they did is they basically tweaked an 85 and a 605 frame just to make it a little bit bigger to fit 6-chamber cylinder. And they were probably using the same hand pull for rotation, and yeah, that's why it wasn't rotating. That's my guess there, because that, you know, in between J and K frames 856 that they made is kind of a new thing for them, I believe. But this 905 here seems pretty good. So let me get a harsh light. So that's what you get today. I'm impressed with that. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.